You wake up one morning, check your phone, no messages, no compliments, no sign that anyone really noticed how hard you've been trying. Have you ever felt like that? Like you're doing everything right, but the world just doesn't seem to care? A friend of mine, a therapist, once told me she burned herself out trying to please everyone, her patients, her colleagues, even her own family. But one day, she realized the most painful truth. The problem wasn't that others didn't value her, it was that she never truly valued herself. And I remember telling her something I still remind myself of. People treat you the way you teach them to treat you. That's the essence of Stoicism. Not about being cold or emotionless, but about finding freedom, strength, and self-respect in a noisy, judgmental world. If you really look at it, most of us are trapped in a cycle of chasing validation. We post something online, waiting for likes. We share a dream, hoping others will believe in it. We work harder trying to be enough, yet deep down we feel unseen. But the Stoics taught something radical. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. Your value doesn't come from applause, it comes from how you stand tall when no one's watching. After years of coaching people seeking peace and confidence, I've seen this pattern over and over. Those who constantly try to make others like them are the ones who feel the emptiest. But those who live with discipline, calm, and integrity, they don't have to shout. Their presence speaks for them, because real power doesn't come from talking louder, it comes from being grounded. And that's what today's video is all about. 10 Stoic strategies to help you become someone others deeply value. Not through manipulation, not through pretending, but by living with purpose, strength, and stillness. Each strategy will help you build a kind of quiet power through silence, self-respect, gratitude, and emotional control, until your very presence demands respect. Before we begin, I want to ask you something. What would change in your life if, starting today, you stopped chasing validation and started living like someone who already has value? Because that right there, is the doorway to peace, confidence, and a kind of strength that no one can take away. 1. Value yourself before expecting others to. Let's start here because this is where everything begins. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. It's that simple, but that hard. I once coached a young entrepreneur who said, "I just want people to take me seriously." He worked 12-hour days, always saying yes to everyone, always chasing validation, but the more he gave, the less people respected him. Why? Because he was teaching the world how to treat him, as someone who didn't value his own time. The Stoics knew this truth long before modern psychology confirmed it. Epictetus, born a slave, refused to see himself as inferior. He said, "You become what you give your attention to." If you give your attention to doubt and comparison, you'll shrink. But if you give it to growth, discipline, and self-respect, you expand, quietly but powerfully. So ask yourself right now, do I carry myself like someone worthy of respect? When you walk into a room, speak, or make a decision, are you apologizing for your existence or standing firm in who you are? You don't need arrogance, you need alignment. Because when you value yourself from within, the world has no choice but to recognize it. 2. Command respect through consistent integrity. Integrity is one of those words that sounds noble but feels inconvenient. It's easy to be honest when things go your way, but can you stay honest when the truth costs you something? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it." That's it. No loopholes, no justification, just alignment between values and actions. I remember working with a CEO who had to choose between short-term profit and keeping a promise to his team. Everyone told him to take the money. It's just business. But he didn't. He kept his word. And you know what happened? His company grew stronger. Because integrity builds trust, and trust is the currency of real value. In Stoicism, integrity isn't about being perfect, it's about being whole. You are one person, not two, the same in public and in private. And when people see that consistency, they respect it deeply, even if they don't agree with you. The Stoic doesn't perform goodness, they live it. 3. Build an inner fortress of discipline. Discipline isn't glamorous, but it's magnetic. The most respected people you know, they're not necessarily the smartest or the loudest, they're the ones who keep showing up when it's hard. The Stoics compared discipline to a fortress. It's what protects you from chaos. Epictetus trained his mind like a soldier. Marcus Aurelius journaled every night, was not for the world to read, but to sharpen his own thoughts. They knew discipline wasn't punishment, it was freedom. Think about it. When you control your impulses, you're free from addiction. When you control your time, you're free from distraction. When you control your mind, you're free from chaos. I once mentored a college student who said, "I wish I had your confidence." I told him, confidence isn't something you're born with, it's what you build every day you do what you said you'd do. And he got it, because confidence is the side effect of discipline. So build your inner fortress, wake up on time, follow through on promises, not to impress anyone, but because you deserve to trust yourself. 4. Cultivate the power of silence. In a world that never stops talking, silence is rebellion. We're surrounded by noise, opinions, arguments, hot takes. Everyone wants to be right, but few want to be wise. Silence in Stoicism isn't emptiness, it's strength under control. Epictetus said, "Be silent for the most part, or speak only what is necessary." He didn't mean to suppress your voice, he meant choose your words with purpose, because when you do, people listen. I once had a client, a lawyer, who told me he couldn't win respect at his firm. He tried talking more in meetings, over-explaining his points. It only made things worse. I told him, "Sir, try this, speak last." The next week he did. He stayed silent, took notes, observed. And when he finally spoke, the room went quiet. Why? Because silence made his words rare, and rarity creates value. Silence isn't passivity, it's presence. It tells people that I don't need to prove I'm right, I just need to stay true. And that, in itself, is power. 5. Embrace the strength of emotional detachment. This one is tough, because it sounds like not caring, but it's the opposite. The Stoics never said don't feel, they said, don't let feelings control you. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal and loss, yet wrote in his journal, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself, but your judgment of it." That single insight can change your life, because when you realize that emotions are responses, not commands, you reclaim control. I remember a man I coached after a painful breakup. He said, "I can't stop thinking about what she said." So I asked him, "What if her words are just noise, and your peace is the silence that follows?" He stared for a moment and then smiled. That was the beginning of detachment. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's the ability to stand calm in the storm, to feel anger, fear, sadness, and still choose your response. In a world addicted to reaction, calmness is revolutionary. Every time you choose not to react, you build power. Every time you pause before speaking, you train mastery. Every time you let go of what you can't control, you become freer. And people sense it. They may not know why they respect you, but they do. Because calmness has gravity, it draws others in, not through noise but through presence. 6. Master the power of boundaries. If you truly want others to respect you, you must know where you end and where they begin. Boundaries aren't walls, they're the fences that protect your energy, your peace, and your dignity. One of my clients, a hard-working woman in her 30s, was constantly exhausted. She'd stay late at the office, take on everyone's tasks, and never said no. Yet the more she gave, the less people appreciated her. She told me one day, "I'm afraid if I say no, they'll stop liking me." I looked her in the eye and said, "You're not losing their love, you're reclaiming their respect." The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If you can't protect your own time, energy, or emotions, you're not free, you're a puppet. Setting boundaries is how you quietly declare, "Stoicism. My time, my peace, and my presence matter," and when you respect your limits, others are forced to respect them too. 7. Detach from the outcome. Focus on the process. Modern life has made us obsessed with results. We measure everything: money, likes, recognition, approval. But the Stoics remind us, you control your effort, not the outcome. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do what is right, the rest doesn't matter." That's not apathy. It's freedom. I once coached a professional athlete who couldn't perform because she feared failure. She said, I've trained so hard, but every time I compete, my mind freezes." So I told her, don't play to win, play to deserve the victory. And that one shift changed everything. She stopped chasing the scoreboard and started focusing on her craft. Ironically, she began winning more. When you focus on the process, you become present. You release the weight of expectation. That's what the Stoics called living in accordance with nature, doing your best in this moment, and letting go of what's beyond your control. Because once you give your best, the result no longer defines you. Your integrity does. 8. Practice gratitude in adversity. Anyone can be grateful when life feels easy, but true gratitude shows its face when things fall apart. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." I had a friend who lost his job during the pandemic. Most people would have collapsed, but he didn't. He told me, "Maybe this is my chance to start over." And he did. He built a small business doing what he loved. Gratitude doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means seeing meaning in the pain. It's saying, this hardship is here to shape me, not break me. When you're grateful for every lesson, even the painful ones, you take back control of your story. Marcus Aurelius called it amor fati, love your fate. Because when you can say thank you even in suffering, life loses its power to defeat you. Gratitude transforms your heart. It turns bitterness into wisdom, struggle into strength, and loss into liberation. And that kind of strength, people can feel it, and they respect it deeply. 9. Serve a purpose greater than yourself. If your life is only about you, it will always feel small. But when you live for something greater, truth, justice, kindness, or growth, you become powerful in a quiet, magnetic way. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor with limitless power, constantly reminded himself, "What's not good for the hive is not good for the bee." He saw his position not as privilege but as service. I once spoke with a successful businessman who said, "I have everything, but I feel empty." So I asked, what do you do that's not about you? He couldn't answer. Months later, he began sponsoring scholarships for underprivileged kids. The next time we met, his face looked different, lighter, peaceful. He said, "For the first time, I feel alive." When you serve something bigger than yourself, your energy changes. You radiate purpose. People sense it. They feel drawn to your sincerity, to your strength that doesn't demand attention but earns it naturally. Because the greatest power in life doesn't come from what you get, but from what you give. 10. Live as if you have nothing to prove. This is the highest Stoic lesson, and the most liberating one. Because the moment you stop trying to prove your worth, you start living it. Most people spend their lives trapped by the need to be seen. We change how we speak, dress, and act just to gain approval. But as Marcus Aurelius wrote, your happiness depends on what you think, not on what others say. I remember a young artist who came to me frustrated. She said, "No one understands my work." I asked, "Would you still paint if no one watched?" She paused, then said, "Yes." I smiled and said, "Then you've already won." When you live like you have nothing to prove, you're free. You stop performing and start being. You no longer act for validation, you act from conviction. And ironically, that's when people finally start noticing you. Because authenticity is magnetic. When you no longer chase applause, you attract genuine respect. When you stop trying to be liked, you become trusted. True confidence isn't loud, it's quiet, steady, and deeply grounded. The Stoics called this state ataraxia, unshakable inner peace, the kind that no insult, rejection, or failure can disturb. That's what happens when you stop proving and start embodying. You know, the older I get, the more I realize, people rarely remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. And the truth is, we make others feel safe, respected, and inspired, only when we become those things first. All throughout this video, we've explored 10 Stoic strategies, 10 ways to become someone others naturally value. But more than that, they're 10 reminders that you are already enough. You've just forgotten it for a while. We live in a culture that tells us to compete, to hustle harder, to prove ourselves every single day. But Stoicism whispers something different. You don't need to win to be worthy. You just need to live with virtue. When you build discipline, you create trust. When you speak less, you gain clarity. When you stop chasing attention, you attract it effortlessly. And when you stop proving your value, you start radiating it. I've seen this transformation countless times. In my coaching practice, I've watched people who once felt invisible start walking differently, not arrogantly, but with quiet strength. They no longer chase respect, they embody it. And that's when everything changes, not because the world suddenly treats them better, but because they finally treat themselves better. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one, it's not about being perfect, it's about being present, being grounded in your values, being real, even when the world rewards pretenders." So if you've been chasing approval, pause. If you've been trying to prove your worth, stop, take a deep breath, and remember, you are already enough. Let the world talk, let the noise continue. You stay calm, stay disciplined, stay kind, because people may not say it, but they notice. They notice your consistency, your silence, your grace under pressure. And one day, without you trying, they'll respect you for it. If you're watching this right now, you're probably someone who's been through enough chaos to know that peace is priceless. And maybe, just maybe, Stoicism found you at the right time, not to change who you are, but to remind you of the power you already have inside. This channel, Stoic Awakening More, isn't about ancient philosophy stuck in dusty books. It's about modern life. It's about you, me, and all of us trying to stay grounded in a world that never stops spinning. Every week we explore how to turn Stoic wisdom into modern strength, how to think clearly, feel deeply, and live intentionally. If these ideas resonate with you, if they make you pause and reflect, then I invite you to subscribe, not just to the channel, but to a new way of living, a calmer, stronger, freer version of yourself, because the real Stoic awakening isn't about becoming emotionless, it's about becoming unshakable. Before you go, take this thought with you. You don't have to fight for respect, you just have to live in a way that earns it naturally. And you do that by valuing yourself, building discipline, speaking with integrity, and serving something greater than your own comforts. That's how you become the person others look up to, not because you told them to, but because you showed them how. So if this message speaks to your soul, tap the like button, share it with someone who might need this reminder today, and join this growing Stoic community, a tribe of people who believe in strength, stillness, and meaning. remember, the goal isn't to be louder than the world, it's to be quieter, but deeper, not to be seen, but to be felt. Thank you for watching, my friend. Stay calm, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video, right here, where ancient wisdom meets modern life.